And I think what's really, really interesting is this is one of many myths in the emerging market space, right? Is kind of this idea that if you just build it, they will come.
Yeah.
Obviously, that is not true, and distribution is king. Talk a little bit about some of the other myths that maybe people in the Western world have about these emerging markets, right? There's all these narratives that kind of float
Yeah.
around. And so, which ones are accurate and maybe which ones
Um,
are maybe not so accurate?
So look, again, I'll generalize for emerging markets because we're going to see varying degrees of this across, particular countries. I think the one, certainly in our industry, is this thing about people don't trust their governments in emerging markets, right? Oh, they don't trust the government, give them Bitcoin, and then they're so happy. The problem in emerging markets is because so many people trust their governments. That's the big problem, because that's why the presidents keep on, or the governments that are corrupt keep on getting voted in, because people actually think that they're helping them. Now, it doesn't mean that no one, everyone trusts the government. There's going to be some segments of the market, people that are maybe, highly educated or have a lot more disposable income, or maybe lived abroad. Of course, there's going to be, double-digit percentages of people in every country that don't trust the government. But the mass market, the critical mass to keep governments in power, they 100% trust the government, and they love the government because the government gives them social security, some form of welfare. That's what they grew up with. So that's a big misconception. And I think, that is to rely on that to say, oh, people will shift to crypto economy just because they don't trust the government. I think that's a bit naive. It doesn't mean that crypto can't play a really strong role in starting that shift now. So, even something like, just educating around how money works. That's a really powerful thing that Bitcoin has. I remember many years ago, I said to someone, if the whole industry just collapsed tomorrow and the only thing it did was educate people about money, it's a success story, massive success story. And so, laughing about people playing around with Dogecoin and things like that. I mean, if the purpose is to educate, then there's value in it. And so in that sense, I think, yes, definitely we can in emerging markets change that, but it's going to take a generation. It's not going to happen in, 2 or 3 years. The other one, I think that's maybe worth just also talking about is this hyperinflation. Every country with, if there's hyperinflation, everyone's going to run to Bitcoin. If the currencies are depreciating. Now, again, on a macro and a purely intellectual level, that is true, right? If there's going to be, in a lot of these markets, the currencies aren't strong, and people are looking for alternatives. I can tell you now that alternative typically is US dollar. And after that, it might be gold a little bit. And way after that is something like Bitcoin. Now, we've seen in some countries, not necessarily where there's hyperinflation, but where there's, real big depreciations in currencies, we have seen increase in activity of people buying crypto. And then, of course, we speak to our customers and we, want to know what they're doing. And some of them are genuinely doing, they're buying it because they want to hedge against the currency or they want to put it somewhere else. It does happen, but it happens in a very, very small amount of cases. And certainly if it's people with a lot of money, they don't put all of their money into that, right? Again, they're going to go mostly to US dollar, maybe some gold and so on. But the other interesting thing about a lot of these markets are, because they're trying to control their currencies, is that, they don't allow you to just buy US dollars. Some countries outright ban it. Other countries make it very difficult. And so I think, that's also where there's this interesting opportunity for stable coins, to come into play, which, it might be that in some markets, that's the intermediate step people have before they actually start choosing the other things. But yeah, it doesn't mean that in these economies, people don't buy crypto to deal with these issues, but it's not nearly as prevalent as what people, at least publicly say it or want it to be. Of course, I also want it to be like that, but that's not the reality that we're dealing with. Not yet. It will, over time we will get there. But again, we're like 10 years away from that.